So today we are reading from 16th chapter, 8th sloka, titled Divine and Demonic Natures. So we read the shloka 3 times and repeat it, and then we go to word translation and purport. Before that, we will start with an invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 16.8 Asatyam apratishtam te Jagat ahur aniveshwaram aparaspara sambhutam kim anyat kamahaitukam. Word to word meaning. Asatyam, unreal. Apratishtam, without foundation. They, Jagat, the cosmic manifestation. Ahu, say. Anishwaram, with no controller. Apaspara, without cause. Sambhutam, arisen. Kimanyat, there is no other cause. Kama ahyutukam, it is due to lust only. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Please repeat. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Purport. The demonic conclude that the world is phantasmagoria. There is no cause and effect, no controller, no purpose, everything is unreal. They say that this cosmic manifestation arises due to chance, material actions and reactions. They do not think that the world was created by God for a certain purpose. They have their own theory, that the world has come about in its own way, and that there is no reason to believe that there is God behind it. For them, there is no difference between spirit and matter, and they do not accept the Supreme Spirit. Everything is matter only, and the whole cosmos is supposed to be a mass of ignorance. According to them, everything is void, and whatever manifestation exists is due to our ignorance in perception. They take it for granted that all manifestation of diversity is a display of ignorance. Just as in a dream, we may create so many things which actually have no existence, so when we are awake, we shall see that everything is simply a dream. But factually, although the demons say that the life is a dream, they are very expert in enjoying this dream. And so, instead of acquiring knowledge, they become more and more implicated in their dreamland. They conclude that as a child is simply the result of sexual intercourse between man and woman, this world is born without any soul. For them, it is only a combination of matter that has produced the living entities, and there is no question of existence of the soul. As many living creatures come out from the perspiration and from a dead body without any cause, the whole living world has come out of the material combinations of the cosmic manifestation. Therefore, material nature is the cause of this manifestation, and there is no other cause. They do not believe in the words of Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita, Maya jakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. Under my direction, the whole material world is moving. In other words, among the demons, there is no perfect knowledge of creation of the world. Every one of them has some particular theory of his own. According to them, one interpretation of the scriptures is as good as another, for they do not believe in a standard understanding of the scriptural injunctions. Om Ajnana-Trimiranandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatan Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Shri Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome again. So before we go into this particular verse, I like to do a little bit prelude. So what was happening before this verse? So Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita in the 15th chapter is in the 15th verse. He is acting as an initiator of all activities. How is that? He says he's seated in everyone's heart. And from his heart is coming the remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. And also he states that he is known by all the Vedas, and he is compiler and he is the knower of the Vedas. So this is something we have to understand very deeply. So Krishna is the initiator. So whatever is happening in the following verse, we will see how Krishna is helping us out to come back to our real position. And in the verse 17 of 15th chapter, Krishna speaks about two kinds of living entities. One is fallible and one is infallible. And then in 18th sloka of the 15th chapter, he declares how he is the Supreme Lord. He says, I am transcendental and beyond fallible and infallible. So he is establishing his position. And because of this, I am greatest, and I am celebrated both in the world as well as in the Vedas as the Supreme Person. And in verse 19, Krishna is saying, if you know me, then you know everything. That means knowing Krishna means knowing everything. So what does he say? Whoever knows me as a Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. And finally, he's concluding with verse 20 of chapter 15, saying, this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. O sinless one, and it is disclosed by me to you now. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavor will know perfection. So now the current section begins with, again, Krishna is informing Arjuna about some divine qualities and demonic qualities, assuring him that he belongs to the divine nature. To make sure Arjuna is completely convinced of this point, he speaks the previous verses, verses 7 to, these section of verses, from 7 to the 9. Because Arjuna is having these doubts. This is how the Bhagavad-Gita has started in the chapter 1, with the posing of questions. He sees that he's in the middle of the warfare, and he sees, if I engage in the war, then I will be the cause of destruction in this material world. So now Krishna is making sure that Arjuna is belonging to divine nature and he is fully convinced of that, so that he can fight the war on the dharmic principles, and it wouldn't affect the current social system. Because usually people have the tendency understanding that if you are engaged in a war, that's demonic. Like I had a practical example today. One person walked into the shop. I serve in the bookshop. So he walked into the shop and he said that there's so many Bhagavad-Gitas available, and I want to study different scriptures to know who is God and why God is engaging us in the war. So this mentality is there, is prevailing in us. And I said, actually, Bhagavad-Gita, the war is the last thing to do. Before that, there is so many peace treaties that was actually executed by Krishna and Arjuna. So war is actually last one, because it has to be done to establish dharma. It is not demonic. But today's war, if you see, people, the leaders don't go to the war. They engage the common people to go to the war. So there is destruction of the common man. There is not destruction of the leaders. So what does the common man get at the end? One flag, one emblem, and a little status in the society that he has dedicated his life for the society. But here, Kurukshetra, all the leaders of the leaders were engaged in the Kurukshetra war. The Pandavas are on the front. They were not engaging the common man to fight. So definitely this war is not demonic. That's what he was proving. And now we come to this verse. What are some of the conclusions that the demonic people go to? So why is Krishna telling the conclusions of the demonic people? Because it is to prove that Arjuna doesn't have these conclusions in himself. So we will analyze the verse. So some of the words, asatyam. So they state it's false. The world is false. Then they say apratishtam, without any foundation. And then anishwaram, with no God in control. Apaspara sambhutam, has risen without any cause. And kama ayutukam, produce of sex, desire of lust. So these are some of the conclusions of the demonic mentality. Whoever is having a demonic mentality, if they can reflect and see if these qualities are present. And now we can discuss each conclusion, what they have come to. They say the world is false. How is the world false? Srila Prabhupada says this world, and even in the Vedic scriptures state, and Srila Prabhupada expands on it, that this world is not false, but it is temporary. So what is an example? Reflection of a tree on the bank of a river. So when you see in the reflection, the tree is reflected in the water. There is something reflected in the water, that means there is an existence of something reality. So the world is also a reflection, parvata reflection of the spiritual world. Yes, it is existing for a temporary time period, but it is not false. And Prabhupada gives in a lecture of his personal example. I am sitting here, I am talking to you. It is not false, but it's just temporary, limited to this time, place and circumstance. And then the next conclusion they go is without foundation. So how is it they come to this conclusion? We can see even in the modern approach, modern scientific approach. They say they believe in Big Bang theory or Darwin's evolutionary theory. But when we study the cosmology part of Srimad Bhagavatam given by Srila Prabhupada, we understand Lord's magnanimity, how he is positioned in each and nook and corner of the universe. So, for example, in the cosmology, you see how the planets are positioned. Who is telling them to position in that way? If it has no foundation, they can be positioned in any way. They can be haphazard, right? But they're positioned and they're revolving at a particular speeds. Who is telling them to revolve at this particular speeds? One day they can revolve at one speed, and the other day they can revolve at another speed, right? And then the sun is going through different phases, cycles of phases. The moon is going through different cycles and phases. And they're situated at particular distances of yojanas from the earth. And in spite of that, the Lord is present and He's guiding at every point of the time to these demigods. He is keeping them as in charge. So we can definitely not say it is not without a foundation. It's with a foundation. So the demons are always anxious to kill the god, either by the words, with words and philosophy, either by actions also, or with the words. So what is another example in the Vedic scriptures? The great demons like Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Kamsa, they want to kill the Lord Himself. But they cannot understand how God can act so powerfully with His potencies. And then next conclusion they come to say, God is not in control. But Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 12 and 13, we can see, 15 chapter, shloka 12 and 13, showing us how Lord, at the cosmic level, He's working. He is the source of light. And as a sun, He's dissipating the darkness of the world. And at the personal level, He says that I become the digestion of fire. So even if you eat something, you don't have the fire of digestion. It won't go through, right? And then next they say it has arisen without a cause. So this tendency is found even in the beginning stages of Brahma when he was in ignorance. Brahma, when he woke up from the lotus flower, he couldn't find out what is the source of his birth. And then he starts going down the stem of the lotus. And then he couldn't find. Then he was almost reaching to the Kala Chakra at the bottom. Almost he was reaching to the navel of the Lord Vishnu. But then somehow he couldn't go further. And then he climbed up back. And then with the sounds of the waves, which were hitting so hard, he could hear two words, tapa. And then understanding the meaning of tapa, he engages himself in penance for so many thousands of years. And then because of his sincerity and honesty, the Lord reveals Himself internally. So whoever follows in the ignorance path should come by the instructions laid down by the Lord. Then the Lord, by the practice of those instructions, when we are sincere, the Lord will reveal Himself to us. And the last conclusion they come saying that kama ahitukam. The only lust is a cause. So here in this purport, Prabhupada, understanding the mentality of the demonic people, he gives an example of how the child is coming with the combination of a male and a female. But if you see Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 3rd canto, 31st chapter, the first sloka, it goes like this. Shri Bhagavano Vacha Karmana Daiva Netrena Jantur Deho Papayate Striya Pravishta Udharam Pumsareta Karnashrayam. Here one word is specifically mentioned, Rena Karnashraya. That means just the semen of the man, or that is it doesn't create a life into woman, but it is what the living entity is taking shelter of that semen. But how is it taking? Under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. Daivana, Karmana Daiva Netrena. Under the supervision, a living entity is taking shelter. And based on the results of his past activities, it's acquiring a particular form. It's assuming a particular body based on its past results. So that itself shows that there is lust, no doubt. But that is not the cause. The cause is the living entity, because of its past actions, and under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, they both combined together is the source of the life. So, by saying this, we are actually contradicting all the conclusions of demonic people. So, none of these theories are actually valid, because these theories, what they have concluded, that it's false, unreal, God is not control, is just coming from some other source. The source is mental speculation. It is not the source from the reality. Another example I can talk about is, if they say lust is only the source, then why does all babies come into existence? Why do some babies die prematurely in the body? If it's only coming from matter, it doesn't matter, right? Then if it's matter only, in all circumstances, in all times, the matter should come out. But sometimes the babies die in the womb, sometimes the babies come out and they die. So Srimad Bhagavatam is talking a higher science, embryonic science, where the jiva is suffering. It talks about how jiva is suffering in the womb. It talks about how jiva is praying. So every detail is recorded in the Shastra. So here Krishna is talking about the temperament of the asuras, how demons have different qualities. And in the previous verses, he talks about they have some demonic qualities such as pride, arrogance, desire to be worshipped, and they have anger, harshness, and ignorance. So that is Damba Darpo, Abhimana, Krodha, Paurusham, Ajnanam. So these are the qualities of demons. Now he's putting these qualities against Arjuna's qualities, and he's saying, you don't qualify into this, so you no need to worry. So you can wage the war on the dharmic principles and you're on the righteous path. Now, so if someone talks, you are a personality, and then I come and ask, I defy you. I say you don't exist, and I say that you don't have any control, and I say, then how do you feel? You feel very bad. You feel very dissatisfied. So God is also a person. So when you offer prayers to the Lord, He's satisfied. The same way when you decry the Lord, by the atheistic men, how they do it, the Lord is dissatisfied. What is an example? When Hiranyaksha was fighting with the Supreme Lord, Hiranyaksha was using very harsh words to the Lord, and the Lord was feeling pain. But you may say that the Lord is Atmaram, He is fully satisfied. How is that He can feel such painful words? Yes, He is Atmaram, but at the same time He is full of emotions as well. Atmaram includes full of emotions. He is completely emotional person. But on a supreme level, He is a supreme person. So establishment of Lord's position as a supreme is given in the scriptures. So one quality I want to emphasize, which is the base of other qualities of the demons, is ajnanam. They have a lack of discrimination, and from this lack of discrimination and ignorance sprouts out other demonic qualities. So why, because of this ignorance, they don't want to engage in devotional service, but their ultimate aim is to gratify their senses. And because of this, they are having a destiny, hell. And gradually they are sinking into lower modes of nature. So why do people feel this way? So ignorance is not something created by us. It's part of this creation of the material world. So when Brahma was creating this material world, he created 5 kinds of ignorance. One is tama. Tama means darkness of self-knowledge. So there is ignorance of our original position, the Swarupa. And another kind of ignorance is moha, illusionary energy. That means it is leading us to forgetfulness, again, about our real identity. Then the third, mahamoham. It's false proprietorship. So we have possessiveness. And tamishram, then you get anger upon frustration. When you wanted something, your enjoyment is obstructed, then you feel angry. And the last kind of ignorance is andatamishra, unconscious state brought by anger, sense of death. So even if you see some people are dying, they have a strong sense of anger, that why I have to leave this body. You perceive that. So even at the time of death, they're fighting over, because they're covered over the ignorance. And based on this extent of ignorance what we have, the jiva is engaged in that particular kind of adharma. And then he's placed into different grades of hellish places. So if the ignorant jiva is in madness, the resultant hell is severe. But if his ignorance is in knowledge, I mean, he has knowledge, but he doesn't want to go for the higher, but he just want to speculate, then the kind of the hell he goes is more severe. But if he is atheistic, this is the worst of everything. He goes to the most severe hell. And so what is Lord's real motive in behind this material creation? It is not out of his desire that Lord has created this material universe. This material creation came into existence because he wants to fulfill our desire, that we want to enjoy the apart from him. But Lord comes into this material world and sends his representatives and the scriptures so that we are educated. We learn our lessons and we get educated, we have sufficient training. So he's creating a right perspective of training, and then we return back to him. So that is his purpose. But how demonic people think? They think that it's false, it is out of cause, that it has no source. And see the nature of a devotee. Prahlad Maharaj is praying to Lord Narasimha, may there be good fortune for the universe. May all envious persons be pleased. May all beings meditate by their intelligence on each other's welfare. May the mind become calm by practicing bhakti-yoga, and may our minds be absorbed in the Lord without motivation. So Prahlad Maharaj, as a acharya, as a teacher, he is teaching us that only if you engage your mind in bhakti-yoga, that will help, that will bring good fortune to you as well as to the universe. And then it will remove all enviousness, and one can really wish for each other's welfare. And then Srila Prabhupada writes in Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 16th chapter, 6th verse, where is the hope? Real purification can take place in human society if its members take to Krishna consciousness. This is clearly stated in all Vedic literature. So the essence of the Vedic literature is to understand that we have to engage in Krishna consciousness. Anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness in all sincerity, even if he is not very advanced in good behavior, is purified. A devotee can be recruited from any section of the human society, although it is not expected that everyone in all segments of society is well behaved. So Prabhupada is addressing what is the problem of the society, how we can reform and have the ultimate purification and reviving of our real nature. So now we understand the demonic qualities, and then we understand Lord is behind the creation. But then who is the culprit here? Culprit is the mind. The mind of the jiva is the real culprit. This is actually pushing us to acquire divine or demonic qualities. And how? Because the mind is considered as the king of all senses. And mind is contaminated by the three modes. When it is compared to an uncontrolled elephant. When the elephant is controlled, even though it's big and huge in its structure and nature, it is still controlled by a small rope because it's been trained. But when the mind is not trained, it can smash away a few acres of the fields. So how does the mind expand in this material world? It expands through the pious and impious activities, through the knowledge, through the senses, and through the action senses. So the mind is trained and it's acquiring, okay, this is pious, this is impious. How do we know? By the knowledge, by the senses, and by the action senses. So, and it keeps one in the material world either to enjoy or suffer in this material world. This is the thing that is keeping us in the material world. So let us see some of the characteristics of the mind. The mind is endowed with pious and sinful impressions. So there are some impressions that are laid down in the mind because so many lifetimes of material karmic reactions what we have, based on that the mind is capturing. It's just like a camera. You can take a picture, you keep clicking and it can take different pictures. You don't have a focus of one particular object, then you keep clicking everything what you find. Then it can find so many random pictures, and some pictures can be of no proper understanding. Why is this picture? What is this picture about? But if you have an object in a particular mode and then you want to focus on that particular object, then you take a picture and then the clarity comes. Okay, this is the picture that is filled in the camera. It's just like that. The mind is also absorbing so many things. But it is us who has to train for the righteousness. And it is also the cause of different types of bodies. In higher, lower positions with different names, it gives different designations. And it is a covering on the jiva. This is not the jiva, but this is a covering on the jiva. And it creates unavoidable distress, happiness, and illusions over a course of time. And this cycle of birth and death, this is caused because of the mind. And the mind makes the jiva wander through different species of life in different conditions. So mind is the cause of the bodily appearance, bondage, and liberation. Now we have seen some of the characteristics of uncontrolled nature of the mind. But however, if the mind is conquered, it can help the jiva to elevate itself. So what are the ways and methods that the jiva can conquer the mind? One is by neglecting the orders of the mind. So if you see the child, so the child asks for everything. When you take a child to a shop, it asks for everything. But the mother is the intelligence. She has the intelligence to know what is good for the child and what is bad for the child, right? So we should not fulfill all desires of the mind just like that. We have to learn to neglect the orders of the mind. Second is attentiveness. We have to pay attention. What is it actually showing me, projecting me? But the most powerful weapon to control the mind is the service to the lotus feet of Guru and the Lord. And how is the service of the Guru helps us? Service to the Guru doesn't only mean the physical service. It is following his instructions. By following the instructions of the Guru, it helps us. And in this connection, we will see one shloka, what Lord Vrishabhadev tells us told to his sons. Mahat seva dwaram ahur vimuktasya tamodvaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahanteste samachita prashanta vinmaya suhrudo sadavo ye. I am repeating this shloka because anyone can be claimed to be a guru, but we have to understand who that guru could be. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. And these personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into Lord's existence or wants to associate with personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to the hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. So this is the Mahatma. These are the qualities of the Mahatma. And when we choose such Mahatmas as gurus, and when we follow their instructions, the mind is controlled. When the mind is controlled, obviously the demonic tendencies calm down. So what is the conclusion of today's verse and class is, only way to reform ourselves completely in this day and age is by chanting the holy name of the Lord as sincerely as we are recommended by the acharyas and the guru, and carrying out this order to be spread this holy name. Even demigods glorify Bharatavarsha. So for us, Bharatavarsha is not just, yes, Prabhupada says Bharatavarsha is India, but Prabhupada also established Bharatavarsha in the form of ISKCON everywhere. So what is the demigods are glorifying Bharatavarsha. They are saying, what is the use of our opulences? There is no flow of Ganges or hearing or chanting of the holy names, and there is no celebration of the Sankirtan festival. So ISKCON is Bharatavarsha because we have the Sankirtan festival going on. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the shloka recited is Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatir Anyata. In this age of Kali, there is no other means, there is no other means, and there is no other means for self-realization than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name and chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. And Srila Prabhupada writes, what is our success? To emphasize something to an ordinary person, one may repeat it 3 times, just as one might say, you must do it, you must do it, you must do it. Thus, Brahma Narada Purana repeatedly emphasized the chanting of the holy name so that the people may take it seriously and thus free themselves from the clutches of Maya. It is our practical experience in Krishna consciousness movement all over the world that many millions of people are factually coming to spiritual stage of life simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly according to prescribed principles. Therefore, our request to all our students is that they daily chant at least 16 rounds of this Hare Nama Maha Mantra offenselessly, following the regulative principles. Thus, their success will be assured without a doubt. So, what is the link? So, the link is between chapter 15 to 16 to see to this particular verse, that if one follows the scriptures, what would be their course of action and what would be their result? And if someone doesn't follow the scriptures and the course of actions prescribed in the scriptures and the guru, what would be their result? So the result of the following scriptures should be elevation of the jiva. So how is the elevation of jiva is possible now? By simply chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I conclude here, and if you have any questions or comments or corrections, please.
Hare Krishna. At the beginning of the verse, we were saying that the teaching is there's no controller, there's no one behind all this. It's just chemicals and accidents and chaos. So it sounds very depressing. So do you think that's why there's so many people in the world that are taking medication because they're depressed? I think this is why, because we're not taught about anything else except just, there's nothing except, buy things and consume things and die, pay taxes.
Yes. I mean, today, the question Prabhu was asking, there are so many people in the world who are depressed, and and because of this depression, they take in so many chemicals, and what is the cause of their depression? Because they are not informed of this knowledge, right? Is my understanding right? Is this knowledge? Yes. Even I had a practical experience of a man coming to me, like I was trying to distribute some books, and then this man comes to me, and I was showing a book called Mind Control, and then he was so interested. He came and he was telling me that he was so frustrated with his life, and he's in depression, and he is going through psychotherapy, and the psychiatrist has given him a prescription of medicines which are worth of 5,000 rupees every month, and she suggested that he has to go through this treatment for at least 2 years. And then he was like, but I don't see so much improvement. For a moment my mind is subdued, but again it reverses back. But then what does Krishna say in Bhagavad-Gita, 2nd chapter, 62. Jhayato visham pumsa sangas tejopajayate sangat sanjayate kamat krodha abhijayate krodhat bhavanti sammoha sammod smriti vibhrama smriti brashyat buddhinashat pranasyati. So how is someone getting into depression? Depression is actually a stage 4 of the problem. So what is the stage 1? They're contemplating on the sense objects, and then because of this, attachment is coming, and then lust is developed, and from here anger is arising, and after that comes the depression, because from anger complete delusion arises, and from delusion bewilderment of memory, and when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into material pool. Krishna is telling even in the 2nd chapter. So how important is to propagate these teachings of Bhagavad-Gita to common man, to save them. Yeah, and I also by Krishna's mercy, how we were reading in 15:15, he gave that remembrance at that point, and I projected him to the same verse. So yes, there is problems. Even we go through, but then we have to reflect back, and then we have to take the shelter of the devotees and the scriptures. That will help us to go out. No.
They mostly say system generates like that. But demonic people, they don't understand how the creation is created and this thing is there. So if you could have explained more about the creation and how the demons and spiritual guys is there, that would be better. But whatever you explain is okay.
Oh no, actually I was explaining each word. If I said the conclusions, asatyam, apratishtam. So I was touching on the demonic, the quality, how they see the world. And then I was comparing it with how the scriptures tell and how Krishna wanted us to understand. Yes. Thank you. Any more? Hare Krishna. Sorry, can you speak a little louder, please? Yes, yes. Pious and impious. Planets, yes, planet. Okay.
Not only plants, flowers also, different colors of flowers. Particularly, in one flower, so many colors.
Yes, yes,
Designs.
yes,
And not only colors, flavors.
yes,
Who arranged that?
yes, yes. So, it was a comment, right? Yes. So, no, it was not a question. It was a comment by Prabhu. He was saying that there are so many flowers in the world, and then each one has different colors, different fragrances, and who has arranged for it? Just by observing the nature, we can see the God's hand into it.
God is behind it.
Yeah, God is behind that.
You mentioned 15,
15, 15.
Was it traveling, not only traveling, such as the traveling to this connection, others
Yes, yes. Thank you, Brahma. Yes. Any more questions? Hare Krishna.
You mentioned that after having knowledge about how to look at the amount of these demonic nature, maybe if after having knowledge of the reality of nature in the scriptures, we will be able to overcome these demonic nature. But everybody in this world, somehow or other, they know that God exists within them. They realize this at some point of time in their life. But they don't surrender to Krishna and they don't surrender to God in their sense level. But after knowing, this is the only way I think that can help the living entity to elevate or overcome this demonic nature is to just surrender to God.
Yes.
And those surrender to Krishna, those people who surrender to God, they get the association of Guru and the good people and the devotees, and when they are, I think, in a better position to overcome these demonic natures. So the first thing is to surrender to Krishna, surrender to God. Maybe after the knowledge will come, and they will come to know by the association of the devotees that who is Krishna, what is the what are the qualities.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, yes. Yeah. So it's a question or comment?
It's just like a
Comment, okay. Hare Krishna. Unwanted thoughts. Why? While we chant, yeah. Oh, I am also learning to control my mind. As I said, the three weapons we were discussing today: neglecting the thoughts, being little more attentive, little more sincere, and following the instructions of the spiritual master. And also we have to be realistic that I wouldn't get the perfection in a day. But if you want perfection in a day, that also shows how much determination I have. So it goes with our determination. So if are we so determined that I can really quit the world, or I'm a holding for something? It's something we can internally check. Yeah, but still we have to continue chanting. It will. I am not an exception for that. So, one thing I've been learning from my teachers as well, the holy name is so powerful and so merciful that the Lord has come in the form of the name. So, even if someone is not chanting very offenselessly, still it has its effect on it. The very fact that you are able to see your heart and diagnose the problems and see that, okay, I am getting so many thoughts. Was this the first case when you start chanting on the very first day? I don't think so. That time you just wanted to finish the round. But now you wanted to chant more sincerely. So you're looking for ways. That means there was a progression, right? So now just be more patient. And it is said that the holy name is like early morning rays. So the sun hasn't come into the sky completely, but still that the early morning rays will remove the darkness. Like if you see the sky in the morning 5:30, so there is no darkness, but there is no complete sun yet there. We are able to see. So even we are not able to do that at this point of time. We should aspire and we should not give up, and then we keep continuing. But I am not the right person because I also have the same problems. Sorry. Yes, everyone. I don't know about everyone. I'll tell about myself. Yes. Sorry? We will be punished for that? As I said, you are sincere enough to identify your problem. I don't think so. Lord is so unkind. Right? Lord is very, very kind. This is His magnanimity. I'm sure we won't, I don't know if we will punish or He won't punish. If He punishes, that will be for our purification. If He doesn't, that's His mercy. So I don't know. Anything else? Srimad Bhagavatam study ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.